Are you depressed or just unhappy? And is there a difference? Good to see you. I'm Dr. Wes, clinical psychologist and advocate for your well-being. In today's session, I'm going to help you understand that being unhappy is not necessarily an indicator that you are suffering from depression. And if you are kind of unhappy, I'm going to help you view your condition in such a way that it's easier for you to find a remedy. For starters, depression and being unhappy may be related, but they're not always the same. People tend to diagnose themselves as depressed when in actual fact they are more accurately lacking a happiness energy. When you are experiencing a low mood, it could be as simple as the fact that your happiness tank, that internal reservoir of joy, has completely gone dry. I mean, it has drained to the point where you can no longer feel pleasure. Now, when that lack of feeling pleasure extends for a long duration, mental health clinicians would classify that as anhedonia. That is, the complete inability to experience pleasure. And that is a symptom of clinical depression. But for many people, being unhappy just means that the issues of life have drained your happiness and you've gotten to the point where you need to refill your happiness tank. There is this human tendency to think that our happiness tank is an automatically refilling reservoir, that something happens when we go to sleep at night and we wake up in the morning and mysteriously our happiness tank is filled up to the brim. And that's just not the case. Neurologically, our brains are not set to happiness by default, they're set to survival. Now, you may know a Sally Sunshine or an ever-joyful Jack who seem to be perpetually happy, but I assure you, even Sally Sunshine and ever-joyful Jack have their down days too. They get their turn to ride on the struggle bus. We're just not around to see them do so. So when it comes to solving the condition of being unhappy, it's really important to know these two things. Number one, our happiness tank drains automatically. Sometimes little by little, drop by drop, as we face the issues of the day. But at other times, something really big can hit us early in the day and we are drained of happiness before we even leave the front door. And the second thing is this: while your happiness tank automatically drains, it does not automatically refill. That is your job. That is your responsibility. You cannot rely on anybody else to do that for you. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting around a long time in a state of misery. Who wants that? Don't expect your intimate partner to make you happy. Don't expect your friends to make you happy, your employer to make you happy. Don't expect the government to make you happy. It is your responsibility to fill up your happiness tank. It is your job and your job alone. And that's the way that you want it to be. You don't want to be dependent on someone else or some entity outside of yourself to make you happy, because they will rarely be there when you are running low on happiness. No, you want the responsibility for refilling your own tank, because that means you are in control of your happiness. You have the power, and unless you are severely clinically depressed to the point where you cannot even function, and there's another solution for that, but I'm talking about just that low-grade state of unhappiness here that can be solved by you elevating your mood simply by filling up your happiness tank. So here are a couple of ways that you can pour joy back into your happiness tank.
Let's go.
Number one, do something hard. I mean, do something difficult. Do something that's uncomfortable to do. You would be surprised at just how much happiness energy is drained from us because we are cooperating with comfort, when we are sitting in the seat of passivity and we're avoiding doing hard things. It takes a lot of energy to be constantly avoiding. Do you want a surefire way of feeling happier? Then go and do something difficult. Go and do something hard. There's nothing like accomplishing a difficult task to give you the feeling that you're no longer on the struggle bus and you're feeling like a boss again. It seems counterintuitive. You would think that doing something difficult would add to your misery, but it doesn't. It does the reverse. It makes you feel like you're back in charge, back in control. It makes you feel good, and it takes away that feeling that you're a sack of sadness. Toss aside the pillows of passivity and get up off the couch of comfort and go out there and solve something. You'll sense your happiness tank starts to fill up as a result of your effort. Once you succeed in doing one hard thing, it gives you the psychological fuel to go on and do other hard things. The happiest people in the world are often those who have developed the tenacity to be able to do difficult tasks, even when they don't feel like it. Another way to refill your internal joy reservoir, your happiness tank, is to take a break from your normal work routine and your normal work environment and get into nature. And you don't need to spend a lot of money to do that. Happiness tank refilling is not correlated with the amount of money that you spend. Let me give you an example. Every 2 weeks, I meet with a friend at John's Place restaurant. We pick up some breakfast and then we drive to a local nature reserve. It costs us about the cost of a hot dog to get into the nature reserve. And when we do, we drive to our favorite location, right there in front of all these 100-year-old oak trees. And we sit there, we have our breakfast, and we talk about life. That restores the joy reservoir. Watching the sun shine through the oak trees to produce an ever-changing pattern of dappled light on the grass floor of the reserve. You just don't get that at the office. And that is restorative to the internal joy reservoir. My friend and I have been doing this for years. We drive there and it's like a gas station for the soul. We come away feeling like our happiness tank has been replenished. There are countless ways to refill your happiness tank. What works for me may or may not work for you, and vice versa. But what we do have in common are these two irrefutable realities. Number one, life will automatically drain the joy out of us. There's no escaping that. It will happen automatically. And number two, every individual is personally responsible to refill their own internal reservoir of happiness. The more responsibility you take over monitoring and managing your own happiness levels, the better you will become at restoring your own well-being. And unless you've just been to a funeral, being happy is much better than being unhappy, not only for you, but for those around you. This could be good for you. I'm Dr. Wes. Here's to making life better.